grown-up giggers! Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here with Hallie Gray, who is my former client, my current friend, my marketing strategy guru, and I'm so excited to share her with you guys today.
Hey everybody.
Yay! Okay, I'm gonna put Hallie in the hot seat in just a minute. But for those of you, hi, we have a lot of people marked visitor, which I know just means that like you haven't signed in. So I don't know how many of you guys are new to Grown Up Gigs or new to the Spreecast platform, but to give you like a quick introduction on both of those things, I'm Michelle Ward. I'm known far and wide as the When I Grow Up coach, and this is the interview series that I've been running for the last few years. It's Grown Up Gigs, an inside look at dream jobs held by real people. So I want to take away all the shininess from the internet and get really down to the nitty gritty of that person's dream job and what it's really like and how they got there and how they figured it out. And what I love about Spreecast and why I'm just like married to this platform is that you guys could all talk to each other through the live chat screen. And you'll see already I put Hallie's link and I put my link. So you could just use that box to chat with each other. Hallie and I could see that also. And my other favorite thing is that you could ask a question live in real time. And it's super easy. So you just click on the ask a question button and write in your question and press enter. Please do that whenever a question strikes you, because I don't wait until the end of these to get to all the questions. I like to just break at natural moments in the conversation, see what's in the queue, answer the questions as they come up, and get to your questions a few times during the hour and right away. So again, don't be shy about asking your questions, about talking to each other. And again, as they come up, just type them up and we'll put Hallie in the hot seat to answer them. We're so excited. Okay. So Miss Hallie, the first
Yeah.
question I have to ask by law, otherwise I go to jail, is what did you want to be when you grew up? When you were a little Hallie?
Ooh, okay. I wanted to be a marine biologist, but I was deathly afraid of sharks and still am. So I was going to study sharks with a microscope at the top of the boat and just look into the water. Because I was scared of them, but I really wanted to, yeah, I really wanted to study them. Blame Jaws, because that basically scarred me for my whole life. And at one point, as a small child, I even thought the racing stripes in a pool were a hammerhead shark. So I just became really fascinated with it, with them, and devoted a lot of time to reading shark books.
Oh my God. Well, I love that even though you were obviously scared to death of sharks, you wanted to still be part of it in some way. You were just going to be as far away as you could be and still be part of it.
Yeah. Probably gonna have like a cage on top of the boat with me in it, just in case the boat goes down. Because, in Jaws that happens, so I want to be prepared.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so funny. Okay.
I
So
got a lot of teasing from the family.
so tell us how that brought you into, your schooling and education part of life.
Okay. I guess what happened is that as a kid, I went to a magnet school where they teach technology and science and languages. And so I started learning Japanese from a young age. And I wanted to do the marine biology, but kind of got pushed into doing Japanese by my family because they didn't see the marine biology working for some reason. It's kind of weird. Um, and so I went to school for languages, but ended up doing science and got into the marketing because it's kind of like the science and experimentation with language. So I thought that was really cool.
Mm, interesting. So what did you decide to study? So in like college, you went to college for Japanese? How did I not know that?
Yeah, well, it's not something I really broadcast because I don't really speak it very often. So it's kind of like one of those degrees where you go and do it, and then you're like, not for me, not for me at all.
Yeah.
So I graduated with Japanese. I graduated with a modern language degree in Victoria University in Wellington because I had transferred over, and that required linguistics. I also majored in Spanish and Japanese, and I did the rest of my papers in science, like biotechnology and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Ah, it's so interesting. And yet, the Hallie that I know, I can't imagine you like taking classes in something that you didn't want to study or
I
kind
did
of
not
doing
try.
anything that you didn't want to do.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't want to go to university, so it was 5 years of me being very stubborn about how I didn't want to be there, but had to finish. So it was not a stellar collegiate record I left with.
Not where you thrived, it sounds like. Not where you thrived.
No, I really enjoy learning, and I really enjoyed everything about science and languages. But if you put me in any sort of university or school setting, I just want to light everything on fire.
So you like to learn, but in your own environment and right,
Yeah,
untraditionally,
yeah,
untraditionally, which totally makes sense.
totally. More applicable stuff like learning languages in real life and doing science and actual makes sense, which is why I went tall ship sailing because we got to do this oceanographic experiment over the course of 6 weeks of sailing the Caribbean, and you could actually see it from start to finish, and the findings were used in other studies and other research. So it was really cool.
So that was during college, during university. Sorry,
Yeah,
university.
it doesn't matter; it's all the same. But yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I did for 12 weeks actually, because 6 weeks on land, 6 weeks at sea, and
Wow,
it was awesome. It's a really cool program called sea.edu, so sea.edu and
oh
Sea
cool,
Association, Sea Education Association. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so there was something worthwhile that came out of those 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, and there's good friendships, and I learned how to speak different languages and learned a
Amazing.
lot about biotechnology. Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. So,
Super relevant today.
well, right, but it's interesting. I have a feeling we'll be able to like see the connection at some point. But there you were, like done with university with this degree that it sounds like you didn't really have any intentions of working in using the Japanese language and using that degrees and like
Yeah.
even with the marine biology and the science stuff and the sailing, um, was that something that you thought you wanted to still pursue? Like, where was your head at when you graduated?
So I graduated, and basically, as soon as I graduated, and I had a lot of marine biology friends in Victoria University because that's where all the Chileans and a lot of people come over for marine biology here. Kind of saw that there wasn't nobody really actually gets to study sharks. They're all studying like sponges or algae, and that is not my area of attention. I will not have attention span to study algae. So what I realized is that I really just wanted the freedom of working for myself.
Uh,
And my mom was a massage therapist, so she started her own business, and I saw that in action. And so I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like, I tried some office jobs, and I was just like, this is insane. Like, people here, I'm just another cog in the wheel, and I hate that feeling. And I
mm,
really wanted to help people out. Oh, fine. And so yeah, I knew I wanted to do a business and I wanted to run my own business, but I really didn't know how to start it all. So I tried doing the office route. I
mm,
was an instructor as well for different activities, like rock climbing and karate and stuff. So I tried a whole bunch of different careers or different jobs. And the one that I was really, really wanted to do was the business running. I really
mm,
wanted to be in charge of myself.
and that's when I met you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, totally it is. Because I tried doing it alone to try and figure out what I wanted to do. And I started by making physical products like a handbags from vintage kimonos.
Uh,
And that was awesome. But I actually hate sewing. So that didn't last very long. And then I tried doing life coaching for adventurers, but they really don't need help. So that was pointless. Actually, that was when we started working together.
Oh my God, I remember, like, I have the faint memory of all of these things. I mean, it's only been 2 years um, since
Yeah.
you were in that spot. So that's kind of mind blowing. But I was like, wait, this all seems like vaguely familiar.
Yeah, because I mean, Evolve's only, it's pretty young.
Huh?
I started it part time in November and full time about 8 months ago. So still pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
experimented.
tell everyone how you finally figured out, and I know how frustrating it is when you try one thing and you're like, oh, this isn't it, or this isn't working, and then you try something else and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this isn't it, or this isn't working. How did you
Mm.
keep going, and how did you put your finger on what eventually turned into Evolve and Succeed?
Well, it was a pretty slow and long process, so that's why I was really grateful I had you there, because otherwise I think I would have gotten pretty frustrated. Um, but I really like the language and the science part of things, so I tried doing the copywriting route. And writing other people's copy kind of makes me a bit not that excited because it's something that I think is very personal, the way you write online. Um, and I found myself meeting a lot of people online in the past couple of years and talking to them about how they're running their business.
Mm,
And I've had experience working with people like Sarah Von Bargen, who's a content marketer,
mm-hmm.
and seeing that really what gets people buying your stuff and feeling like they know you is all about your writing.
Mm,
So I started helping people out and giving them suggestions about how they should structure their products and services and just for free. And that took off and a lot of people started seeing great results. So I decided that that would be awesome to help people succeed with their businesses online, like as a full-time gig. So, and that ended up being marketing. It's kind
Yay!
of a,
So talk.
yeah, it's a weird,
It's weird, but it's still. I mean, it's so exciting. It's such a great story, and I put up the link to Sarah's blog, which is the sms.org, which is
yeah,
like one of my favorite places online and one of the only blogs I've been subscribed to consistently for like years and years and years. So
definitely. She's
super
got
cool.
great content.
Yeah. So give us a little bit though, and again, you guys, questions. Feel free to pop them in the ask a question box when they come up. Um, but give everyone a bit of a timeline because uh, we know like you okay when you came to me, you knew I want to try my own business thing. It was about 2 years ago. When did you kind of start testing out the marketing stuff with your guinea pigs? Talk to us a little bit about being in your job and what that was like and working on this on the side. And then when you knew you were able to quit that job, kind of how long it's been. Because it hasn't been that long, but you're killing it.
No, it
So
hasn't.
that's what's so exciting.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Um, that was tricky. So I took up an office job because it ended up in an IT project because that ended up being I had been doing instructor work up to that point. So that was like 3 years ago. I was an instructor, I think, for rock climbing, or I was getting out of that and doing some jobs as like a leasing agent.
Mm.
And so I started realizing I could make more money if I moved into the office work, which I knew I would loathe anyways. So I joined an IT project as a someone who's supposed to be super organized and detail oriented, and that's not necessarily where my strengths lie. And I realized that I really needed to, although I was making more money, I really needed to take control of what I wanted to do with my time because life is really, really short. And so what happened is that I did this job during the day, which made me very frustrated because I wasn't naturally good at it, which is quite hard to do day in and day out, but was paying me really well. So I invested all my time and energy and money into this new career and path, and it ended up being really tricky, um, somewhat frustrating. I did a website with Francesca Morano. She
Mm-hmm.
put it up. She designed it. She did an amazing job. It was for the copywriting. I call myself an alacrity captain
Oh my God, I
because
remember that. I remember that.
I remember too. I still want to be called captain though, so it's not really totally dead. And I wasn't getting any hits, or if I was, it was not feeling right. And so I was hanging out a lot in the clubhouse and listening to what people were worried about and what they really wanted. And what I realized is that a lot of people didn't have any feedback about how a client or customer uses their website.
Mm.
And so I put together this 4-unit pack where I went through their website, and from the best, from a user perspective, how does it work? What's confusing, what's missing, what do they need to do to move forward? And so I did that for, I think, 4 or 5 people, and it sold out within the first week. So it started off pretty strong with this new business because I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I ditched the copywriting. I went into Evolve and Succeed, which was going to be called Evolve or Die, but then I decided to scale it back a bit. I was thinking about like a T-Rex theme. It wasn't really going to work, I think, though. So I softened that a bit. And
I love it.
yeah, it's like really, really like Evolve or Die. Like it's very black and white. And then so I sold out that first service within the first week. Mm-hmm. And I overcommitted, and I put a lot of work into it, and I just stressed myself out. It was around Christmas. I was working through Christmas. I was doing a full-time job, and then I come home and do like 5 hours of this stuff, and it was really not cool. So that's how I knew this was going to work, though, the marketing stuff, and that was the right direction to go in, because it was actually using marketing techniques to market what I was doing, which is find out who it's for first and then make them something specific. And then my contract was up in June, or at the end of June, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. Fuck it. I'm just going to go and launch full out. So that's what I did. I pretty much just decided. Yeah, I didn't save enough money beforehand, which I would totally recommend.
So is that the one thing that you would do differently? What would you do differently if you had to do it over?
I think I still I appreciate the fact that I committed to a date and I just did it, and I think that's great. The things I would do differently would totally be investing in a professional visual brand, because I just did a rebrand for my site, and I think that definitely gets me on a stronger footing. I would totally save up some more saving money. I wouldn't go traveling for 2 months for my first month, after my first month of going full time, which I did. And I thought I would be working while I was traveling. That is a myth.
Not so much, huh?
It's kind of hard to be like, okay, I want to go ride elephants, or I can stay at the hotel and write a blog post. Like, that's never gonna win.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So those are basically the big ones. Visual brand, save up some cash. I would definitely recommend, when you're in a strong financial point, maybe taking out a business loan just as a backup for your savings. Oh, especially in December when nobody really buys stuff. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, have you done something like that before? Something.
Yeah, I took out a business loan when in December I found out there's nobody who buys services. Funnily enough, they're putting all their money into buying presents.
Buying products.
Not a lot of spare cash.
Not services.
Yeah.
Not services.
Yeah. And I didn't have a product at that time, so I was like, this is weird. It's very quiet. And so, I think just having that backup of having a savings first, because I don't recommend going into debt, but in worst case scenario, you have to invest a lot in your business in the first year. And it's kind of like a
safety net. A safety net in some way. It sounds like a financial cushion, a safety cushion.
Yeah.
Of whatever that is.
And I guess if you're not as hard-headed as me, you could have gone and done more day jobs before you left, but I decided I was going to leap, and I did it.
Well, you had that contract. You had the timeline of the contract, so it sounded like you could either have tried to renew the contract or get a contract someplace else, and you were like, no. I mean, and it sounds like, my memory is so fuzzy around here, but it sounds like when you did that, you had that sold out offering and just went oh, I see that this works. But were you still under your old site and working from your old name and stuff?
Yeah. I think I was pretty confident going out of the gate, because I only had 50 newsletter subscribers, and I had already booked out about 6 grand worth of services for the first month. So I was like, oh, this will be fine. We don't need more than 2 grand saved up. You'll be all right. And so iPads were purchased, expensive gin and tonics were drank, and a sort of cockiness prevailed. So maybe don't do that bit either. Yeah.
Enveloped the land of Halley. That's
Yeah.
I mean,
I was having a good time.
I mean, that's something to be so proud of, though, to hear, and I mean, that could probably be the most read blog post in the internet. Hearing like, I made $6,000 from 50 newsletter subscribers, which is
Yeah, totally.
cool.
I will definitely write it after this. I feel like I've got homework now. Well, and the cool thing is that, yeah, that the right before we went traveling, I was like, oh, okay, I haven't really been putting any effort into getting clients or clients again. So what I did is launch a 1 week special limited edition service and booked out 9 out of 10 spots in 72 hours. So that gave me a good cushion before I left traveling. So I quite like the flex. I like that. I like the adrenaline rush.
Oh, and you're so good. You have the magic power of just like getting the idea in your head and implementing it and putting it out there in record time while still having it be high quality and high value. I think that is just one of your superpowers. It always amazes me to see like what new thing is Halley coming up with now that she's putting out there.
Definitely. I like to act quick because I feel like the way I work, if I think about an idea too long, it just becomes stagnant and then I don't actually end up actioning it.
Well, it seems like and tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, which is obviously I don't want to do that. But it seems like when you have the idea, you don't let's get this out there and see how it does, as opposed to as opposed to like let me think about it and then let me plan it and then let me work on it for 4 months and then let me make sure everything's perfect and then let me put it out there and hope that people have it. Instead, you're like all about the experimentation.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and I think you don't know an idea is good till you put it out there and test it out. It's all sort of theoretical until you actually get it out there. And especially with services, it doesn't need to be a big time investment for you because all you have to do is create like a sales page, a couple blog posts to get it out there, put it out to your people, set it up from the back end with like Satori app, and you're good to go. And if it doesn't work, take it down and try again. I do have a tendency to do that. And last week I launched 3 new services in a day because I was just like, you know what, let's try this a different way. And so I did it.
And what happened?
And then I was really tired.
And what happened?
Oh, it went really well, actually. Yeah, I've got like 3 new clients. So that's nice in the past week.
Okay, so while everyone is formulating their questions, because seriously, I cannot be the only person that has questions for Halley. You guys are so quiet. What is that magic, do you think, that allowed that first offering of yours to be sold out, that allowed 9 out of 10 spots to be taken for your next offering, that allowed, oh, here, let me do 3 new things, and all of a sudden, a week later, you have 5 new clients? Is there magic?
Oh, okay. Yes. I routinely milk unicorns and bathe in them. But the magic is really just marketing. And I know people say this a lot and people get confused about what marketing is. It's not about selling your soul or sacrificing virgins for a sale. It's really about knowing. So if I needed to buy Michelle a present, I wouldn't just go to the nearest store and pick out whatever's closest. I would put some thought into what she likes. I would research as what she likes to do or what color she likes. And then I would try to figure out what she would really love and want. Because she might need a pair of slippers, but nobody gets excited about a pair of slippers unless they're magical. And so that's the same thing with your business, is that you just need to figure out who you want to hit in terms of who you want to attract. And think of one person, because there was one person for each one of these services, there's been one person who's come to me and been like, "This is my problem," and I've been like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I'm like, "Oh, but I could totally solve this for more people." And then you figure out what they want, and usually it ends up being something related to money or happiness
Mm.
because first world problems.
Mhm.
And then if you get your sales copy really clear about what they're going to get out of it and what they should expect, you can sell it quite easily
Mm.
and put some blog posts up, and then there it goes.
Interesting.
So
You
that's
make it just sound so simple, and I love it because it is that simple, and that's another one of your superpowers, I think, is that you're able to strip things down to just the foundational basics, and be really concise and know, like, okay, we're hitting this, we're hitting that. These are the two things you need to know. This is the one thing you need to do. Like, and you strip that down so easily. Just fantastic. Um,
yeah. We get a lot of information nowadays, so I think it's important to be like, I've tried that out and it didn't work. It might work for you, but from what I've seen, it doesn't work.
mhm.
So based based on my scientific findings, it would be better to do it this way.
um, and it's so great to just hear you kind of articulate everything in the way that you did, because it made me it made me think, and again, tell me if I'm putting now maybe ideas in your head or out of your mouth. It almost sounds
Mhm.
like you decided at first who you wanted to work with. Um,
Mhm.
and I know, you said a few minutes ago, like, oh, you went into the clubhouse, and by the clubhouse, for those who are new to me, it's my community membership site. Arwen, if you could put the link up to the clubhouse, that'd be great. Um, it's my
It's
community
awesome.
membership site that Hallie's been part of, like, since the beginning, and so it's full of creative entrepreneurs, mostly in the beginning stages of their businesses. And so it
Mm.
seems like you knew these are the people that you wanted to work with, and you went into the clubhouse to say, what are you guys struggling with? You listened to them, and then you created what they needed based on your own skill set.
Yeah. Actually, I read a lot of marketing things up to that point, and I was like, ideal market or ideal client. Why the fuck do I need to worry about that? Like, I had a lot of trouble with it.
Mhm.
What I think I found was um, a lot of people. I went to their websites, and I was like, okay, I'm reading your website, and it's really hard as a new person to read your website and get what you do or
Mhm.
interact with it very easily. So I was like, oh, okay, they don't know that they need this, nor do they know that they want it, but they need it. Well, they want it because basically they're losing clients and they've got big gaps in their
Mm.
website presence
Mm.
that are they're losing people through. And so I put it together and I put it that way, like you have to structure it so that people want it
Mhm.
because they might need it, but they don't. If they don't want it, they won't buy it. So
Ah.
I just structured it as if you have me check your website, it's going to end up getting you more clients and more sales. And that was the angle I took from it. And because I was doing it from this is a new person perspective, I was totally qualified to give that advice.
Love it. Love it. And the questions are pouring in. So let's go to the questions. Kim wants
Oh, okay.
Kim wants to know, I love this question, where did you get your 50 subscribers from?
Ooh, good call. Okay, so my 50 subscribers came from, wow, it's not like I have a lot more now, but I'm trying to remember. So I joined a lot of Facebook groups.
Mhm.
So Michelle's When I Grow Up Clubhouse was a good way to get into that. There's And then what you do is you write blog posts, and at the end of each blog post, you put a call to action being like sign up and receive these posts in your inbox, fresh or hot from the oven or whatever, so that each time you're writing them, people start getting used to a call to action, which is basically just saying, hey, do this,
Mm.
because you want to prime them to act on your content. So what you do is just write a couple pieces of content that you think the person you want to attract will be interested in.
Mm.
So if it's T-Rex wrangling, you could say the 10 types of T-Rex ropes you want to invest in, and then you would say sign up for more T-Rex tips. delivered fresh in your inbox, and then that way you start getting people into it. That's the
Uh-huh.
only example I can think of.
I
But
love that business. That's the best business idea ever. T-Rex wrangling.
I really want to do it now. But it's just going into social media and pimping your content. Your content is what gets people into your newsletter. And never ever call it a newsletter because people hate that word now.
Yeah.
So just keep writing and connecting, and that's a good way to do it.
Okay, so tell before we go to the next question, I know that someone's thinking
Mhm.
this, and I'm just gonna ask it, you guys. I'm gonna ask it for you guys. When you're so scared, when you're so scared, and you just
Yeah.
you feel like you're bothering people by telling them what you're
Mhm.
doing, or by, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I just sent them an email, about the last thing that I did, and it doesn't matter that it was a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. Like, I feel like I'm bothering them, and you're so scared.
That's a good
Any,
question.
yeah, yes, and I know that's what you think, and that's how you see it. Is there a mindset or any more magic that you could give us to help that person get over their fear of not only talking about their thing, but making touch points to their people?
Totally. So with subscribers, they're your readers, right? And so a lot of people will find it more convenient to subscribe to your newsletter because they get, if you're using an RSS campaign, which basically directs all your posts to your newsletter, which is very easy to set up in MailChimp. What you can do is basically think of it as, okay, well, they don't want to go back to the blog, but they want to know what I'm writing about. So they want to hear from me.
Mm-hmm.
They really do want to hear from you. Your subscribers definitely want to hear from you. And the focus shouldn't be that you're afraid to talk to them. The focus should be, how can I help them the best?
Mm,
And what high quality content can I create? So if you're stuck for content, I put a couple of prompts up on my blog previously, but basically what you want to think is, if you're a graphic designer or you're a writer or whatever,
mm,
is something like, what information do I wish I had known getting into this industry? Like, as a marketing person, I wish I had known that your ideal client literally will change
mm.
your business from no clients to tons of clients. Or if you're a graphic designer, it could literally be something like, this is exactly what the process is for a graphic designer,
Mm,
or this is behind the scenes for creating a logo.
mm.
Um, or like common questions you get asked. You get asked a lot, maybe, why do I need to worry about punctuation on a blog post? Or what are the top 10 tricks I can make when it comes to CEO,
Mm.
or whatever people ask you a lot. That's usually things you can use as content ideas. And that's a good way to get them engaged with you, because they really do want to hear from you, because you're an expert that would make their life better. And now you just need to figure out the ways that you can make their life better through content.
Yay!
I
Thank
get really
you.
excited about that, but
Thank
I'm
you.
pretty sure I'm talking in a monotone.
No, no, I am really excited about that, and I think that was just really well said. I like to have a similar mindset where it's not, oh my God, oh, I just bothered them about my thing, and now I'm going to bother them again. I think that when it's wrapped into you knowing that what you're creating is valuable to someone, and not to be dramatic, but could change their life, their business, their financial situation, their happiness, their stress levels, their um, you know, whatever, fill in the blank. Uh,
Mm,
it's almost, we could turn the tables and say it's selfish to keep that to yourselves. Like, you're a jerk if you keep that to yourself. Don't be a jerk.
totally. And yeah, don't be a
Don't
jerk.
be a jerk.
Uh, Plus, I mean, a lot of people unsubscribe from newsletters
Uh-huh.
just because they've moved past that point
Uh-huh.
of not needing that information anymore, or you know
They're
they just
following
went
you
off.
another way.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so as long as you're not roping people into your newsletter for in unethical ways, they want to be there. They want to hear from you.
Right.
And if they're not, if they're not interested any longer, they'll unsubscribe. So everybody on your list right now is interested and eager and ready to hear from you, and wants to know your best tips and tricks and more about you. So do it.
Great. Great. Okay, the questions keep rolling in. I'm so excited. I'm going to read this one out loud first because I'm afraid it's going to be cut off for me when I put it on the screen. But Anna wants to know, how many guinea pigs did you have before you started charging for your services, and how did you decide what and how to charge at first? That is such a good question.
Cool. Okay, so how many guinea pigs? So I think I was working with people unintentionally as a marketing strategist for five people I knew before I realized I was doing marketing advice.
Uh-huh.
And then which, yeah, weird. And then I offered that service to do the website evaluations, and that was $75 for 4 units that people could work through. And it was supposed to be a month long, so they got one a week, and then it ended up being 3 months long because I did it over Christmas and realized I had overcommitted myself to 5 people. And they ended up being like 60 pages long. So they were freaking massive,
I
massive
remember when
things
you
that I was
worked on
like,
that. It was hours and hours and hours and hours for free.
yeah, yeah. So I just did a shit ton of work for free and lots of stress, lots of stress. But it was a good experience, and it really solidified what I wanted to do going forward, which is that biz online evaluation and then the marketing advice going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was tough. It was hard. And I chose $75, I think, because I thought it was just, I don't even remember how I chose that number. I think because I was getting paid something like 25. No, I wasn't getting paid $25 an hour, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll assume it's like 6 hours for the total of this whole unit. And so I'll do it for like half the amount.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not turn out to be that way. But yeah, it was just a stab in the dark for that pricing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So because of your guinea pigs, you had a sense as to how long something would take you. Do I remember right that you ended up scaling back also, like once you put the actual offering up, you were like, oh no, I'm no longer giving people 60-page PDFs. You definitely tweaked the offer from what I remember as to like
Well,
what worked for you,
because
right?
I did that business evaluation was kind of like a test launch of a service, and then I kind of got rid of it
Uh-huh.
and turned it into a more expensive service, which was about $1,000, and it was 2 days of me just going through people's websites and evaluating and doing marketing plans and yeah, doing that same thing but condensing it into 2 days and charging a lot more for it. So I forgot the question.
Was that a jump, like was it a jump from this $75 offering to the 2-day $1,000 offering? Is there anything in between?
It was indeed. No.
Girl, you got balls and I love it. Love your balls. Like that.
When I say it out loud,
But it worked. It worked.
yeah, it worked. Yeah,
It worked. And I wonder
yeah.
if there's something there, magically talking about magic with the five guinea pig number, because I also, when I was in my coaching certification program, I had to work with 5 clients before I graduated, and so it's like I had 5 guinea pigs. I charged the last guinea pig. I started charging, but everyone else, it was
Mm.
coaching them for 12 weeks, 45-minute sessions for 12 weeks for 5 people until I then graduated, and then charged $75 a session was where I started my prices.
And it's a good number. And I think for that $1,000 service, I ended up only doing 5 of those as well. I quite like these limited runs of services. It's kind of weird.
Interesting. It's really interesting. I wonder if that's part of your magic also. Putting a timer on it in a way, because I remember you would say, I'm only taking one more person, I'm only taking 2 more people, I'm only taking, and so you put that timer on it. This isn't like an evergreen thing, and you're not going to always be able to get these 2 days with me at this price point.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it is because I'm also doing, yeah, it's the way I like to work best. Do an intake, close it up. It's pretty fun.
Interesting. Okay. Debbie asks, can you give an example of one of the promotions that you put on your site?
For like blog posts or services?
Yeah.
Promotion.
Debbie, definitely clarify if I'm not getting this right, but I would think an example of one of the promotions maybe of a service or an offering. And I think maybe too, if you could speak, and hopefully again, Debbie, this is what you meant. If you could speak to like the promotions around it. So what do you do
Mhm.
when you create something and you put it out there? How do you bring attention to it? Is there a
Okay.
formula?
Yeah. So this is the post I did that was breaking down how I put together one of my fast launches.
Oh,
It's a
fabulous.
2-hour launch plan.
Okay.
How I kind of did it. Um, but basically, what I do, and a lot of it is around content again, because content is king, especially nowadays online. Is I'll lead up. I'll launch a new service, so I'll create it in the back. I'll focus a lot on the sales page and making sure the sales page clearly shows what the benefits and the results are and why the price is quite cheap
Mm,
in comparison to what they're getting.
mm,
And then I will do blog posts that lead into it. So if it's about finding your ideal client,
mhm,
then I will say things like, okay, these are the top 10 reasons your ideal client is someone you, or, is something you need for your business model.
mhm,
Here's where you can find them. This is how you should talk to them. This is what it'll change your business, like, make your life easier. You'll make more money. And then I'll be like, at the end of each one of those, I'll be like, okay, grab your spot. And usually I will do a countdown of like, I've got 5 of these available or 10 of these available for the next 72 hours. So grab it now. And if you take a look through my site, you can probably see, I think I cleaned it up a bit so that it didn't have all the promotions. But I usually do it through the content, and then I like a blog post with a call to action to buy it at the end. And then I will promote that blog post on different networks and then ask people I know to help me promote it.
mm.
And that post will usually lead to people checking out the sales page and then buying. So I actually get quite a few buys from people I've never even talked to before, just by referral through social media.
Great.
But I think it's important to let you guys know that the structure I do works a lot, but it cannot work, and it has not worked before. I've done an ideal client session that didn't sell at all, and I did a holiday selling session last
Mm,
October, November,
mhm.
and that didn't sell at all. And that was probably timing, and also because people didn't want an ideal client session. Even though I got great feedback from previous clients that was one of the most important parts for them.
Mm,
So that's the beauty of launching quickly is that if it's not working, take it down. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
You've spent 2 hours into it.
yeah.
Who
Or
cares? It's an experiment.
right, right. Or, shelve it for another time. So it's interesting, maybe the holiday, correct me if I remember this wrong, but I think the holiday stuff, I remember you launching that really close to the holidays. So maybe like
Yeah.
maybe the holiday thing is a good like October offering as people with product-based businesses are thinking of or maybe it's July or something like with finding out more when they're thinking of
Yeah,
the holidays and you already have the work and it's there.
precisely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even consider that as a new business owner that there would be times of the year that are better than others, and good ones are December and November are tough
Mm-hmm.
for services. So is April a year?
Mm-hmm.
It's my first April as a full time, and then I think maybe in August people in America go away as well. For
Mm.
I'm American, but I think people go away the most in August for school holidays and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You'll see a lot of things launch in
So
September. Oof, September is always a
yeah,
crazy launch time, I feel like, for
yeah, I'm thinking.
um,
Yeah, I'm thinking about launching the league again, but it'd have to be
mhm.
before summer.
Mhm, but I think people are ready.
Yeah.
It's like a back to school, back to work, like end of the year kind of. Yeah, summer's over. That means more than half the year is over. That sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah. So I'm doing workshops then.
Right.
Hopefully that'll be good.
Yay. Okay. Next question we got. Oh, and Debbie said that was exactly what she meant. So good on that, which is great. NE wants an example of a not working offering. So, what does that evaluation and
Okay.
process look like, and how did you decide it wasn't a go? This is such a good question.
Okay. So I've got a short attention span. I
Uh-huh.
should probably put a little thing around that. Um, a not working offering, and it could be an offering that's just not presented well.
Mhm.
So I see a lot of people who have an offering that's for free that nobody's taking them up on, and that's really frustrating. But it's usually because their sales page isn't very good
Mhm.
and they haven't put limitations around it. So you'll find if you're doing a limited time offer of days or clients, it's a lot easier to have an impetus behind it.
Mhm.
So that's a big key for marketing something. But when it comes to thinking of a service that isn't working, basically what I do is just take a look at um, if it's sold at all.
Mhm.
You know, if I've posted like 5 blog posts around it and done a whole bunch of social media pimping on it and it hasn't gotten any traction, then I just get rid of it.
Mhm.
And the content that I put around it is still helpful for people to read, so I don't get rid of it. I just take out the call to action
Mhm.
for the service that's no longer available.
Interesting.
Basically, if it's not selling,
Interesting. It's
yeah,
just you going back
and
and listening to what people want. And sometimes they tell you beforehand what they want, and sometimes they tell you afterwards by not buying what you're selling.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Is there anything more formal to that evaluation? Do you do anything with any sort of process that you do, or is it just kind of like a gut thing and a just keeping your eyeballs open and looking at analytics and stuff?
Actually, I do a lot of asking people I know or people I in my Facebook group,
Mhm.
the Evolves Domination Internet Domination Club. I'll ask for people to give feedback on the sales page, and if the feedback, I'll incorporate the feedback into another round of sales page edits
Mm.
if it's not selling very well, or even if it is selling well, because I always appreciate the crowd sourcing of feedback.
Mhm.
Um, and then if that sales page has been updated with edits from people and people haven't taken me up on that offer at all, I'll be like, okay, time to scratch it. It's just that I constantly think of new ideas and want to test new things. So for me, it's not a pain in the ass to take it down and try again. Like to me, that's fine. That's just an example of what it's a kind of like testing your clientele to see what they're interested in, and what you're looking for is ideally a service that's quite easy to sell
Mhm.
just through your content, and you don't need to keep reminding people that you don't need to keep pushing. If it's really hard to sell it, then there's something wrong,
Mhm.
and it's not you. It's just probably service or how you're presenting it.
Yeah,
So don't take it personally.
fabulous. I love that. Um, you guys, we probably have time for another question or two, so don't be shy. This hour is flying by. And I would love to take another question or two from you guys, which again, why I do these live and love being here on Spreecast. But while if we're waiting for those, I'd love Halley to get a response from you in terms of like what it's really like to be a entrepreneur, to be in marketing, to be a strategist, to be in the like online digital world. Is there anything that you in particular would want to share or say to someone that is thinking about getting into it, as to what it's really like as opposed to what we see shiny on the internet?
Yeah, I guess it takes a lot longer than you might anticipate for it to be gangbusters.
Mhm.
Um, I also think that if you're risk adverse and you have trouble, if you, and I'm not really sure how to put this because it's kind of a catch-22. So if you're into risk and you're into that adrenaline feeling and you can handle it, that's awesome. Like for me, a lot of the thing I like about business is that there's so much you can do instantaneously and see the results from, and that's awesome. But on the other side, there's a lot of anxiety filled moments and panic and getting down because you put a lot of effort in,
Mhm.
and sometimes that doesn't reflect in your business's growth
Mhm.
immediately. It might take longer in the long run. Um, I know finances can seem a little obscure for a lot of people, and that you don't have an understanding of how well people really are doing from the outside. My understanding is that most people aren't doing as well as you think.
Uh-huh.
Um, I know that for December, it kicked me on my ass, and so it put me in a financial position that is not enviable.
Mhm.
But and I thought to myself that maybe it would be worth going back and working for other people. But for me as a person, it's worth seeing this out for at least a year, because to me that's worth the investment of time and money,
Right,
and I think it'll pay off.
right.
And it has started to pay off again, and I've gotten into a better financial position. But you have to be willing to ride through or creatively solve those moments of being like, oh fuck, like I never was in debt when I had a stable 9 to 5,
Right.
and now I am. Like, that's a very different perspective. And finances for a business are different from finances from a personal perspective.
Mm.
It's going to be awesome as well. There's going to be days where you might just sit on the couch watching Seinfeld or Bob's Burgers, if somebody tells you about that.
I love
It's
Bob's
amazing.
Burgers.
The show's amazing.
Everyone go watch Bob's Burgers.
I know, you're the reason I watched it. Yeah, it's amazing. And so that's kind of nice, that freedom of time. Other people aren't really going to know what you do,
Uh-huh.
so you just have to get used to not having that sort of street cred, that literal street cred. People might think you're pretty cool online, but when you go out and you're, just walking around, people might think you're, I don't know. I don't even know what people
Degenerate.
think,
A
but
degenerate, Halley.
yeah, degenerate
Degenerate.
and pearls. What the hell? God, the hobos have gotten so flash. Yeah. Yeah, people might expect you to clean the house when you're working during the day, and I say, nay, nay.
Oh my God.
I'm not a cleaner.
You can see what's
Yeah.
beyond this table. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all below here. um, so there's kind of that mental thing as well, because you're used to maybe having other people telling you what to do, and now you've been really wanting the reins in your hands, and you have them, and you're like, how the fuck does this work?
Right.
And like,
Right.
so there's a lot of learning. Yeah,
Right.
but I love it. I've met amazing people through it. I've made some pretty cool monies, um, and and the money isn't really the important thing, but it's pretty satisfying to see your efforts get rewarded in numerical value. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of nice. And I love selling, and it teaches you a lot about yourself, and you have to learn a lot of skills, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that applicable learning.
Oh, that's great.
So I recommend it, especially if you're a cat. It seems like weird advice on last.
I just
Maybe not.
I love it. I love these takeaways because even and I knew this going in, which is why I wanted you here, is that you do take the shininess away and are just so honest. And I think a lot of the times, we'll hear about people being very vocal about their $30,000 month. I'm like, oh, I had a $30,000 month, or oh, I had a $10,000 month, but they're not telling you that the next month they made nothing. After that, they made $500 in the month, and so it sounds like, from what you're really discovering and the fact that it blows my mind, you have only been doing this now full time for 8 months. Is that what you said? Less than that.
Yeah. Something like that, 7 or 8. And I've been away traveling for
Right.
2 of them, so I'm really just thinking of it as 5 or 6.
which is amazing, and I see too in the fact that I've been at this for 4 years full time. I'm the old lady of the group, but I'm such a numbers nerd when it comes to my business that, like, I track year to year in a chart, like, this is how much money I made in January of 2011, and this is how much money I made in January 2012, and this is how much money I made in January 2013, and so I'll look, and I could see very easily what my good months are and what my bad months are.
That's
And
smart.
so you know what to expect. Like, it's very August has been my best month always since I
Mhm.
started this business, which is very weird because we talked about that a little bit beforehand. It was just like, and I thought maybe it's because I usually have an offering in August or something, but I don't know what it is. But August is always my best month, so I can't get too excited in August when I have this
Mm.
big windfall, because I
Yeah.
know that like November is going to be probably a pretty crappy month and December is going to be worse. So like you know that once you've been doing it for a while, you could better plan for the own ebbs and
Mm.
flows of your own business.
Totally. And I think it's very personal for each one, especially because industries are different and who you are and your people are different.
Mm,
It's really good to track it per month. I'm going to try that out.
yeah.
But then the first year is usually just all about learning and
Right.
overcoming your own style or your own experiments.
Yeah.
And I do think people need to be a lot more transparent. I mean, it does help their street cred to be like, I made 30K this month. And then if they said, and then I made 0 last month, people would be like, oh, interesting. How does
Right.
that work?
Right.
But
Right.
the expectations are just so, you're listening to the hype, and that's great because that gets you excited about things, but
Mm.
it's going to make it very hard for your own expectations and budgeting, even long term. If you're like, 30K is just around the corner. Next month,
Right.
maybe my
It's
month for
attainable. I mean,
30K.
the fact that it's attainable. I've never had a 30K month,
Mm,
but I have had a 20 plus K month, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
mm,
But then there are months that it's like, oh, this is a 1K month or a $500 month, and thankfully it does not happen very often. But there's definitely that ebb and flow and that give and take for sure. Let's
totally. And a lot of people aren't used to it.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
you're good.
I just want to make sure we get to Beth's question, which has been waiting in the queue patiently as we've been chatting before we wrap up. So Beth asks if there's any updates you make to marketing tactics for a physical product versus an online offering.
Yes. A physical product. So you guys have I think, a harder industry than an online product. Online products are information based, right? So they can be, once you've created it, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into making it. I just made my first information product, which is the DIY workshop squared.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I had to do there was plan out my self-paced workshop, how it was going to work, the information that went with it, and then I launched it and I put it up on the website and then I put it in front of other people and it's been bringing in some money. So that's good. That's great. And that's all I have to do. And now as an information product, I can reuse it over and over again. Physical products are a lot harder because you have to keep making it from scratch each time. So your marketing tactics online aren't going to be necessarily different, but you're going to be positioning yourself as a brand. So I worked with Lola Falk and a lot of other physical product people. And what happens instead is that we work on how you're communicating to people through your content. So you're getting them excited about what you're doing. So that could be just like, hey, what do you think about this color combination? Or, oh, we're doing the sale, grab it now. Or this is how, a custom piece looks like, or this is the process behind a custom piece. And you're doing a lot more education about your business and brand than maybe a online information product people would, because you're trying to get people engaged with something that they only buy once. And information products are something that you could keep going through. So it's a similar process, but a little trickier and a little bit more time consuming, I guess. So what I would recommend is thinking about how your client or your customer is going to buy your first product, and then what you can sell them for their second product, and then how you're going to talk to them about the first product and the second product. So it could be they buy lip balm, and you're going to tell them all about the effects of lip balm, why your lip balm is better than everybody else's lip balm, how the lip balm in the making, and then once they buy that product, you're going to create content specifically for, hey, now that you bought lip balm, you might like soap or whatever. And you could do that with an online product as well, an information product. But an information product will kind of sell itself over time because people will talk about it. They'll keep passing it on. Plus, information products usually create more information products. And so people will be like, oh, this is how I created my first workshop, through this DIY workshop squared. And so then that sort of recommends itself. Whereas physical products, you need to encourage the customers to talk about it. So either being like, show me what you're wearing with your new handbag, or let's see your earrings in action, or getting them to show what they look like when they bought them and what the benefits are.
Ah,
I hope that helped. I know they're very similar, but different.
It's so smart. And then seeing Lauren from Lola Flock, who's a friend of mine and lives here in Brooklyn where I live, and um, is also a former Grown Up Gig interviewee. She's so amazing. And when she started working with you, her social media and her newsletters and everything's changed, like shifted. She was so much more consistent with what she was putting out there and posting. But she started putting together like lookbooks with her. She does handbags and wallets mostly, and now like cosmetic clutches and stuff too. Um, and so she was doing
Mm,
lookbooks, and she was doing like come behind the scenes of my studio. And I think it was really great to see her, because of what she was working on with you,
yeah.
shine more of the spotlight on herself as well. So it seems like that's something that someone with physical products could do also, by letting people see like, how are you working and what's your studio like, and how did you get here, and what would you do with the products, and who else is using them. Like, it's just such a great technique. I saw her doing that a lot.
Totally. You can also start targeting some of your content for people below you
Yeah.
who are trying to get into your physical product industry. That's a good way too to attract attention, to be a teacher.
Fabulous. What's next for you, real quick, before we wrap up? Tell us.
Oh God. Yeah. So I'm reopening the league
Yay!
before summer, and I'm running some workshops in the U.S., West Coast, East Coast, in July and September. So those are gonna be bananas. I'm pretty excited. But
Fabulous.
yeah, and pretty
Fabulous.
awesome.
Arwen, if you could put the link up for the league, that would be amazing. And I know anyone that signs up for your newsletter, not only are they getting great content, but I'm sure that's how you'll keep people posted with the workshops and your United States tour.
Yes, I'm so excited. It's going to be
It's
amazing.
gonna be amazeballs. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please join me live tomorrow. Oh, great. Hallie's got the Hallie and Arwen the same time posting it. Tomorrow I am talking to Kelly Ray Roberts, who is an artist and a writer and a possibilitarian, which might be one of my most favorite words ever. She is one of the first people who I found her blog online and followed her, and I'm like, so I'm going to be a little fangirl tomorrow. So if you want me just to like watch me wig out, then join us back here on Spreecast at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. The link will be in your inboxes in the morning, so you can join us, and lots of goodness. Oh, and it's the uh, second to last day to sign up for a career camp. So Arwen, if you could put the link for career
Do
camp.
it.
If you guys don't know what you want to be when you grow up, this is how I could help you without charging you $3,000 like I do if you want to work with me one-on-one. So save yourself some money and have some fun. It's such a good time. I'm so proud of this program. And sign up stop on Friday and won't open again until probably September-ish. Yay, and that's career camp. So thank you guys so much for being here. Halley, thank you for joining us the mostest. And
Oh, thanks for having me.
yay! And I will see all you guys soon. Thanks so much. Bye.